Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome, and I hope everyone is having a great Valentine's Day so far. We will just be getting started in a couple of minutes. Our speakers will be joining us shortly, but feel free to get settled in. You can put your name, your LinkedIn profile in the chat, where you're calling from, where you're calling in from. Also, if you have a favorite love song for Valentine's Day, we'd love to hear that too. And here we are. We have our speakers starting to join us. Hello, ladies.
Hello, everyone.
All right. Well, yeah, I would love to get started here. Again, happy Valentine's Day, everyone. And please feel free, as we're getting started, to put your name in the chat. You can put your LinkedIn profile. We'd love for everyone to connect with each other. Also, you can put your favorite love song and maybe where you're calling from. We'd love to hear from you. So as we get started here, wanted to get us in the Valentine's Day spirit. I know it's not everyone's favorite holiday, but I have a couple of questions for you all. So who always has a date on Valentine's Day? Anyone know? A calendar. I know, cheesy mom joke. What did the love-obsessed candle say when it was lit? Anyone? I found the perfect match. Ooh. I thought that was a good recruiter one.
That is cute.
All right. Just had to open with some Valentine's Day cheer here. You are all joining us here today to hear some lovely speakers. We have a couple of employees here from GEM and users of GEM, and then a user of GEM from Lattice as well. And so just to kick us off, I think probably everyone knows what GEM is. I think that's a majority of the reason why most people are joining here today. It's a tool that's loved by many and is even getting better and better as time goes. If you aren't familiar with Talent Collective, I'm one of the co-founders. We are a community for women plus in the talent acquisition space. So if you'd like to learn more, you can always connect with me afterwards. Would love to chat. But let's dive right in here. I want to thank all of our speakers here for being with us today. We have just a very accomplished and wonderful panel here. So we'll take a minute to say some introductions. So we'd love to have Lauren go first and tell us about you.
Yes, I'm Lauren Ho. I'm based here in San Francisco, and I head up the technical recruiting team at Lattice. And I've been a very happy GEM user for, years. I was a GEM user at Slack a million years ago before it was called GEM. So I've really been along for the ride, and I'm excited to talk about efficiency and consolidation and how I've seen GEM do that really, really well.
Amazing. Thank you, Lauren. And then let's go to our GEM reps today. So we have Tamra. She is head of recruiting at GEM. And why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello. Yes, I'm the lead recruiter right now at GEM. I've been here I just hit my 2-year anniversary. Can't believe it, actually. Super exciting. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm in the South Bay. Morgan Hill for any of you that actually live in the area. So let's see, I've been doing this for a really long time, and I'll never forget when I actually started using GEM as a sourcing tool before my employment days at GEM. And it's just been, being introduced to all that it can do in the entire talent compass. And then even more exciting now, the ATS. It's definitely changed my life as a recruiter. And I'm super excited to talk a little bit more about how and why. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you, Tamra. And we've had the pleasure of meeting as well as with Lauren. It's been so good to get to know you ladies. Lee, you and I haven't met in person yet, but why don't you take a second to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Lee Miller. I'm on the GEM team as well. Unlike Tamra, who is within recruiting, I sit within our customer success team. but I am a recruiter by heart. So for the last 20 years, I've been in recruiting as a practitioner, recruiting manager, and a leader of operations and programs, the likes of Accenture, Ernst & Young, and now consulting with our clients from a GEM perspective. So I'm really excited to be here with the Talent Collective group. It's a great community, and I've really enjoyed interacting with everyone. And I know you didn't ask me, Krista, but I am going to answer the question of my favorite love song because I prepped for that. And it is Someone Like You by Adele. That one really pulls on my heartstrings.
Ooh,
That's a good one. That's good. Lauren and Tamara, do you have any initial thoughts?
Yes, Love on Top, Beyonce. I love blasting that song and just feeling the love.
Oh.
Well, if Travis Kelce doesn't propose to Taylor Swift today at their parade, I'll just go ahead and say that my first dance with my husband at my wedding was Lover by Taylor Swift. So it's just, have to say it.
Oh my goodness. I love it. And just to be aware, there is a poll that we have up. So feel free to answer that as you're getting settled in here and as we start the Q&A. And then also just wanted to say to the audience, so you can feel free to put in your questions. As you have questions for these ladies, we will try to get to those. And we're going to get started here. So today's topic is we're talking about having one consolidated platform for recruiting. I know that a lot of recruiters have very disjointed systems, and that can really impact efficiency in day-to-day workflow. I've experienced that many times throughout my career. So would love to chat and hear from Lauren and Tamara first. So as a recruiter yourself, can you share specific examples of how having a unified solution which combines sourcing, CRM, and analytics with an ATS has streamlined your workflows and improved strategic task focus in your organizations? And why don't we start with Lauren? Would love to hear from you first.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that when we're talking about the unified solution, it's a lot about efficiency. And I kind of, hate to say this, but we are doing less with more in recruiting teams these days. And so I really feel like being efficient and having it all in one place is the name of the game. I think it's also about the one system. We use GEM for multiple audiences. So we're talking about it in our overall team TA meeting, what's important to us, what we're measuring, how we're leveraging it, response rates, all the things you can measure on there. But then I'm also looking at it with execs, with hiring managers. I think that it's so comfortable to have that conversation when everyone is comfortable with the platform because we're using it time and time again. And so I think that that is one of the really big pieces of efficiency. Everyone's familiar with it. We can do multiple things in it and curate it for different audiences. I'm curious what Tamara thinks in terms of efficiency and how you've approached it.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, to your point, we're doing so much more with less these days. So I think that that's just such a key takeaway of having it all in one place. So I think that a couple things that I love about the all in one place system, like GEM specifically, having all candidate, like centralized data management, the one unified system, it allows me to easily access and manage candidate information without being like having to switch between multiple platforms. So this saves me a ton of time. And honestly, it reduces the risk of data duplication or loss. I also think that it's an important piece that it allows for a seamless candidate pipeline management experience for anybody using a tool like this. So having GEM, CRM, and ATS seamlessly allows me to move candidates through the recruitment pipeline. So I can track candidates, interactions, communications, their application status in real time, right? Ensuring a smooth experience for not only me, the recruiter, but it also trickles into the candidate experience, which is always top of mind for me. And so I think that, the high level for me is being able to do this all from one place is a mic drop moment for me in my day-to-day recruiting life, honestly. And I wouldn't want anything, I wouldn't want to experience what's been in the past. But yeah, so it empowers me to be the best recruiter that I can be. And if you haven't all used it yet, then I highly recommend.
Well, I was also going to add, like, for example, recruiters on my team will pull up Gem and be walking through a one-on-one with a hiring manager, and they're looking at multiple things. They're looking at the health of their pipeline. They're looking at their outreach stats. They're looking at the demographics of their pipeline. And it's literally one Chrome window, right? They're just in one screen. And I think that that's so powerful. And it makes those hiring partners really trust the data. They're trusting that it's all in one place, all pulling from the same place. And so I think there's like that consistency, which builds trust, which eventually leads to that efficiency component again.
Absolutely. I think that is one of my favorite things is the hiring manager interaction within Gem. I don't remember feeling as empowered, honestly, going into one-on-ones before using Gem. And so that's huge. That's huge. Having the data right there in real time, and being able to show the hiring manager what I've been doing on a day-to-day to, from 1 week to the next, and having, instead of just selling myself on, I promise you I did all this, I promise you I talked to all these people, it's all right there. Not only this is how many people I talk to, this is where, just like what Lauren was saying, it reflects, and you can dive right in on candidate profiles in a super organized way, which is just brilliant. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Amazing. Well, thank you both. Yeah. And Tamara, you had started to say, you would never want to go back to how it was before. So I'm curious to learn and hear a little bit more from you both about what was recruiting like before you had an all-in-one solution. And Tamara, you can take it away first.
Oh my gosh. I think many of us remember these days. Having a consolidated tech stack definitely enhances all things recruiter candidate journey. It empowers me to work more efficiently. So I remember feeling super unorganized. I remember feeling a little bit all over the place, toggling between different platforms. Honestly, recruiting had always felt like an afterthought. And today it feels like we're all, more companies and organizations are realizing how important it is, because at the end of the day, the recruiting talent is responsible for hiring the best talent within your company, right? And so empowering us with a tool that makes sense for us, it's life-changing. It really is. I don't want to go back to those days. I don't know, Lauren, what do you think?
Yeah, I think what comes to mind for me is like that single source of truth. Think how often you're working on a project, you're working cross-functionally, and there has to be a single source of truth, right? And I feel like 5 years ago, there was the ATS, there was the finance spreadsheet, there was the recruiter's individual spreadsheet, there was the recruiting manager spreadsheet, and it was just information was all over the place, and you had to figure out which one is the most accurate, going back and forth. It was incredibly time consuming, sometimes incredibly manual. And so I feel like when you have a tool that is the single source of truth, that is also so customizable and so interactive, that is where you're really having that incredible experience. And it gives gravitas to what you're talking about, what you're looking at, what you're tracking, because it's that one place that you go to.
Yep, absolutely. I just have to say, I heard you say spreadsheet like 5 times. Okay. So that's not what it's like anymore, at least. Yeah. So it's just, we've come a long way. We really have. Anyways, I don't know. I just don't know spreadsheets. You gave me chills when you said it 5 times.
I know, it's trigger word.
I think we've all been in spreadsheet hell at some point in our lives, and or are still in it somewhere in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, let's move on to candidate experience. You also touched on that a minute ago, Tamara. So we'd love to hear from you a little bit more about that. So how does having one consolidated tech stack make for a seamless candidate journey?
Well, I'll give you a specific example in a second, but I think that having, again, like candidate information centralized. It's just, that's the start of my day. GEM's my compass. It helps me navigate from sourcing to offer, really, truly. I can easily access and review profiles in detail. So basically, here, let me give you a specific example. So let's take Alex, candidate Alex, right? So I can source Alex within GEM's CRM. And then I can actually review, I can review Alex's profile, all of his history. If he's had any interactions with my company before, which I think is absolutely imperative for the candidate experience, because then I can now tailor a specific email, whether it's a one-off message to the candidate directly, whether it's creating a sequence with the hiring manager and whoever else we want to involve in that process to make it a personalized experience for the candidate. And then I can easily, within a couple clicks, add this candidate Alex to GEM ATS now, which is the newest feature to GEM. And it's amazing because now all of this extremely beautiful and important data that I have on the candidate is now just seamlessly available in the ATS, right? And so now I can enter them right into the recruiting process. And then when it comes time to, I can schedule within GEM ATS. And then when it comes to an offer stage, I'm able to send an offer directly via GEM ATS. So it's like, boom, this is super empowering again, for me as the recruiter. And I just love when I'm thinking of candidate experience, which is always top of mind for me. I feel super confident that that's what has happened when I'm using this all in one place.
Yeah, I think just to chime in there, what I'm hearing from you, Tamara, and what I've seen within our own recruiting org and then across customers as well, is that candidate experience piece when you're talking about communication, because you've got it all kind of centralized in the one place, you know what's taken place. And so if another recruiter steps in to help you, they know exactly what's going on and everyone can see that information. So you're collaborating in a way that you don't need to go to spreadsheets or different kind of systems or see who's got a calendar reminder. It's all within the one place. So I think that really enables us and enables recruiters to provide that great experience because they've got the information to make the right decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
100%. Yes.
Really great point. Thank you, Lee. Yeah, that's fantastic. And just to dive a little bit deeper on candidate experience and kind of go a little bit of a tangent here, employer brand, that's so critical in this market and in this economy. So I'm curious, Tamara, what steps can an organization take to elevate their employer brand using one platform?
Sure. I think that, okay. So this is a super high level, but I will say and then I'll get into more specifics, having that one place, that one single source of truth, as Lauren was saying, which is what GEM does offer. It's powerful for recruiter. It impacts candidate experience, which ultimately affects brand awareness, and the brand, the experience of the candidate, which is a direct reflection of the company. And so I think that number one, just setting yourself up for success as the recruiter by having a tool like GEM, GEM ATS, GEM everything. It sets yourself apart from the competition, right? Because you're actually providing yourself the most efficient tools and a really effective recruiting tech stack. You will just move so much faster. So here's one of the things that I love. One of my favorite features using GEM is that I can easily nurture relationships with candidates over time, right? So even if they're not currently suitable for a particular role, I actually create talent pools within GEM that not only myself, but other people that I work with, if they see someone, they can do a little search, they can find a talent pool that I've created, maybe they created. We have referral talent pools. We have, I have my own personal future talent pool for future prospects. And so then taking it another step further, right? When I come across a great candidate, I can add them to one of my talent pools. Let's say, for example, for a future hiring need. I can even add them to a nurture campaign, which is another amazing, profound tool that I can use within GEM. So this allows me to spread brand awareness about our company, by letting these candidates into our world a little, by introducing them to who we are before there's even a role that they might be a fit for at this time. And so I think that, at the end of the day, what GEM does for me is allows me and everybody actually that's not even like directly involved with a search, or whether they are directly involved, such as a hiring manager, it empowers all of us to make more informed decisions, like Lee was saying a little bit ago, perhaps involve them in, whether it's a nurture campaign, whether it's just a seamless experience from being involved in one of our interviews. We pride ourselves on having a good experience for the candidate. And so, I can collect surveys and find out very feedback-driven information from candidates so that we have the opportunity to improve as well. And so at the end of the day, I think that people feel really excited, even if there isn't a role that's open, and even if they do go through the interview process and they don't get the job offer, they will come back to us and say, wow, that was a really, that process that you involved me in was very different from what I've experienced at other companies. And that to me is a win as well.
I think those talent pools, excuse me, are so important. And again, like if the recruiters are in this tool daily or multiple times a week, for example, we have a new CEO. She's been at the company now for about 6 weeks, and our recruiters had a couple of talent pools where they have the article that we want to share with folks, and it's sort of like hey, just checking in, want to share some exciting news, hope you're doing well. It's very much the like no update kind of email, but you can do it in that one place where you're familiar with the folks you want to keep in touch with in a really just almost automated way. Like it is personalized and it is thoughtful, but it's automated in that it's all in that one place. And then a hiring manager can be like, oh, when was the last time we touched base with our, senior director pipeline, 10 folks we're trying to keep warm. It's like, oh yeah, just when we got that new CEO, reached out to them, let them know. So we're top of mind for them right now. It's those things where it's like, you just go immediately to that place to touch base, to have that candidate experience. And to be transparent with all 98 people watching, budgets aren't free flowing right now. And so to have the ability to think about candidate experience in a cost-effective way, where doing that is in a sense free. We already have this tool. We already have folks sitting there. It's a matter of going in and the cost of time to do it, but so efficient because they're already there and they're already set aside. So that's just a big +1 to what Tamara was saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Well, thank you for that. I know costs we're going to talk about a little bit later, and that's top of mind for pretty much everyone right now. And just a quick reminder, we do have a poll if you want to get your votes in. We're going to close it in a second. But let's move on. And Lee, I'd like to move on and find out a little bit more from you. We can shift the focus a little bit to data and data-driven decision-making. So in what ways does having one source of truth consolidate data across tools?
So when we're saying one source of truth, I thought I'd just kind of expand it a little bit more, because there's some folks who would be on this call that may not have that opportunity to use a consolidated platform like we're talking about with GEM, ATS, and CRM. And I think that any organization can still have a source of truth. So really what we're talking about is within your tech stack, which is that one technology that speaks to all of the others, has really strong integration points with all of the others, and therefore can pull all the data into the one place and be that one place that you go to. So by not having, or when you don't have that, as both Lauren and Tamara were saying, you're on spreadsheets, you're going to your ATS, you're maybe going to a BI tool like Tableau, and you're going to different places to get the information of what is happening. So having a source of truth, be it with a all-in-one platform like GEM, or having that tech stack where you've identified that source of truth, like that is where the goodness is, because that's where you can pull the data. So the ways in which you can have that, as I said, the source of truth and consolidated access to tools, is that you're going to be able to see the full funnel. So for example, with customers that I'm working with at the moment who are looking to bring on GEM, what they have is an ATS and they may have a BI tool, but they don't have anything for top of the funnel for the CRM. So all of that is spreadsheets. So for a leader to go, okay, what is happening with this rec, or a recruiter say, what is happening with rec? You've got the manual manipulation at the top end, and then you've got what's happening within the ATS. So again, being able to have that source of truth where you pull it all together means like the world, I think, for everyone within recruiting. So it improves efficiency. You can trust the data because it's coming through from the systems, and you're not using that. You're not like adding a manual entry into there. And then when you've got the truth and you've got that source of truth, what you can do is start to see what is happening across the full funnel. Where are there blockages? Where are there inefficiencies? How long has it taken us to hire that rec in the past? And therefore, if we open that rec, how long will it take in the future? So I think that the power of having that central source of truth when it comes to data is having all the accurate information at your fingertips, having the trust, I guess, in the data, which then will only help with like the insights that you provide and like how you make recommendations, and the credibility we all have within a TA team. See, I still talk like a recruiter, like we all have it. I am a recruiter at heart, so I'm never going to let it go. Yes, it's that credibility to be able to say, this is the data and I'm 100% sure it's accurate, and let's go and make some strategic decisions based on that.
Yeah, so important. I know everywhere I've worked, the data just, you have no confidence in it. And that is concerning, right? And there's different definitions for different things, and just to have it all mean the same thing, and like that would be amazing. So thank you. Do you have any examples that you could provide on how this has improved hiring predictability and efficiency?
I certainly do. So working with a couple of customers at the moment and over the last 6 months or so, examples that I have is that for one particular customer who purchased Gem, they had an ATS and they had their Tableau or a BI tool to help them pull the data out of their ATS. And then they purchased Gem CRM. For what I was saying before with that top of the funnel. So what that was able to give them was improved insight and support when it came to capacity planning. So really understanding, okay, here are the hiring goals from the business. How many recruiters have we got? How are we going to meet these goals and by what time? So that could really give insight into predictability. And yes, can TA meet the demands of the business? And then from that same example as well, because they had the CRM in there and they've got that full funnel source of truth, you can also look at the pass-through rates in the pipeline. So to be able to really dig in and diagnose what is happening within the recruiting funnel. So for example, to be able to say this particular rec, it's taking 2 weeks longer to move from recruiter stage to hiring manager interview in comparison to other kind of similar recs. What is happening? That allows you like dig in, see what's happening, start to identify some opportunities, and then unblock that for the future. So maybe it's a conversation with the hiring managers. Maybe it's taking that data to the teams. All of that can help with efficiency, improve time to hire, et cetera. I could go on. I'm going to stop, but I could go on. But that's the example I have, is that when you've got that full funnel, the world is your oyster. Like it unlocks so many things and questions that you can ask, and then strategies that you could take based on what you're seeing.
Very nice. Yeah. Sounds so impressive. And just like it has everything you could possibly need as a recruiter. And just a quick reminder to everyone there in the audience, if you have questions for our panelists, would love to hear those. So feel free to put those in the Q&A and we'll get to those at the end. I already see a question in there, so thank you for that. So let's move on. Lauren, I'd love to shift over back to cost. Again, that is just top of mind for everybody in this market right now. And just, optimizing and making things more efficient. So from your perspective, can you share your experience in terms of optimizing costs, eliminating redundancies, and gaining support from financial stakeholders by using an end-to-end recruiting solution?
Yeah, absolutely. We did a tooling audit about 18 months ago at Lattice, and shout out to Mendy and Becca if they're listening. They really led the charge in this. They were incredible. I cannot take credit. But we really had to look deeply at, what matters to us? What are we measuring? what do we need to be doing on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis as a team? Like, what's going to help us produce great candidate experience? How are we going to track diversity? How are we going to, source and follow up and all of those things and be super efficient, but at the lowest cost? We had an analytics tool that I actually did really love. I thought it was easy to use. The visuals were really lovely. But it really only did that. It had one functionality. And so it really forced us to dive deeper into GEM to learn what an incredible analytics tool it was. And then we discovered new features as we were doing it as well that we just weren't bubbling up and using on a regular basis. I think it was like right around this time when we discovered the capacity model. And I remember emailing someone at GEM and just being like, oh my God, this is like what I've been doing on my own, but so beautiful. And the scenarios are incredible and they're exactly what I'd want. And it was just like one of those moments where you're like, they're reading my mind. So I was very excited and sent a very effusive email. And so it really helped us feel comfortable sunsetting the other analytics tool, saving a huge chunk of money, and then making the most out of the tools that we have. So, I think sometimes the concept of consolidation can sound really intimidating or overwhelming, but I think a lot of folks also aren't using their tools to the fullest. And also, GEM is still a growing, maturing company. When you reach out and say, hey, we're looking for this, or this kind of doesn't work for us, the responses are very quick. And I feel like it's so exciting to be working with a team that is hearing my feedback, iterating. We did at least hour-long screen share in the capacity model with a GEM team member to talk through like, how should I leverage this? This is what I'm looking for. Can you put that on the product roadmap? And it just felt like, again, we were getting so much for our money because it's already something we're excited about and they're listening to the things that we'd want in the future. So I think that the audit was a great success and we really doubled down on our products and feel really confident with our tech stack now.
I'm definitely guilty of that. Just getting a new tool, diving in and not really fully understanding the full capability of it. And then later looking back, I could have saved so much time and money had I known that this actually was possible.
Yeah. And it sounds like sometimes there's a hindrance when you've been using a tool for a long time where, again, I used it as a sourcing tool as a recruiter, 5-8 years ago, whatever it is. And so you need to refresh yourself and have those meetings with the team too, to do a quarterly look back at how you're using the tool or whatever it is, because you can really learn a lot about the things that are just sitting unused within the tool and new features that you might not be aware of.
Mm-hmm. I think that's where a good customer success manager really helps move the needle, where they can say, I've seen you doing this. Have you thought about this? Or did you know that we offer this? And then that way they can keep you as evolved as the product is because it moves so quickly. But I think that having also what you said around an audit of your tools, because the technology landscape is moving so quickly as well, I think it's recommended to do that on a far more regular basis than maybe we had in the past, just to see what else is out there and validate what you've got is what you want. And then if it is what you want, are you using it to its full capacity as well?
And as a recruiting leader showing up to those meetings, being really transparent about what's ahead for your team so they can say, oh, we haven't talked about this yet. What about X, Y, or Z? And when both sides are showing up super prepared, it really is a big unlock.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Thanks for that. Going back to our poll real quick. So what Valentine's Day treat would you be most excited to receive? The winner is pasta and lobster. So we have a savory crowd out there. Second winner here was chocolate covered strawberries. So I love it. Well, here's the results from that. I'm actually going to go ahead and kick off another poll here. So please vote in when you see that. Oops, There we go. Should be open. All right. And then let's see. We'll keep moving forward here. Would love to now shift the focus to adaptability and scalability. Lee and Lauren, feel free to chime in. And of course, Tamara too, if you have anything to chime in on this one about. So first question, how does having a consolidated tech stack align with evolving recruitment processes? Lee, let's start with you.
So when I think about evolving recruitment process, I just think of the environment that we're in now, like so dynamic that it changes day to day. We could be recruiting teams could have really significant hiring goals or have not many at all. So thinking about building agility into the recruiting function, and the best way I think to do that, you think a bit about people, process, technology, people that will come in time like change management and whatnot. That's probably more of a involved kind of investment, but with technology, that is, I think, what is going to be, that is the game changer now, is that how you can scale up and scale down depending on the tech stack that you have, and kind of use them as levers depending on what you need at any given time. So I think about like if you're scaling up, and you have high hiring targets, how do you activate your talent marketing? And then how does that flow through to your ATS? How do you activate your sourcing, et cetera? How do you see if you're going to be able to meet those targets through capacity planning, like Lauren, like you've just mentioned? And then with scaling down, when I think about the evolving recruiting process, unfortunately, we're in that time where teams are reducing in numbers. And so you're being asked to do a lot with a very few team members. And so again, you need to rely on technology. So having a tech stack that will help kind of adjust regardless of the scenario, and have automation built in, and also ensure that if you were to scale down, for example, you have business continuity. You know what was happening across the team. You're not going to let candidates fall or job recs fall, etc. So I think tech and a unified tech stack really helps in maintaining that agility, so things aren't breaking as you are going up and down. Lauren, would you agree or add to that?
Yeah, I think like the yes and to that is also, I think that you can use your tools to ask more of your cross-functional partners. I feel like 10 years ago, what was expected of finances, awareness of recruiting, hiring managers' involvement in recruiting, et cetera, you can use these tools to help inform them, help educate them. We do a lot of work asynchronously at Lattice, and I love sending them a GEM dashboard or different, just different data points that I pull out through there so that they can look at it. And when we come together, we're having a really informed conversation, as opposed to only I have access to it and I'm screen sharing and it's new information. They don't know how to respond. Giving them a lot of information, giving them full access to GEM so that they can really be in there and informing themselves and showing up also as like that true partner, just like we do on our side, is a great way to leverage the tool. So I think of that sort of asynchronous and informative work.
I think that's great. I think I'm glad that you brought up dashboards, because I was wondering when I could squeeze that in, because it really is one of my favorite features as well. And not to mention, they're extremely customizable, right? So you can sit down with your hiring manager and decide what's important to them. What would they like to see on a weekly basis? It might not be the exact same information. It might be the same information, but you can exactly involving hiring managers, involving other stakeholders, whether it's asynchronously or whether it's in a direct meeting. It's so powerful, and it's something that, again, it just it wasn't available back in the day, right? So it's a great feature that I would highly recommend any recruiter today to use.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned this at the beginning. We use the dashboards as a full TA team so that everyone understands like what are we measuring and what's important to us as a leadership team. But then also in one-on-ones, hiring for account executives is different than hiring for a director of engineering, right? And so we it's consistent in themes, but some of the specifics are different when you're looking at the one-on-one recruiter dashboard. So the TA team overall is slightly different than what it is for each individual. And I think, like you said, customizing that per team, per person, per level of recruiter is really an important tool as a manager.
Absolutely.
That's great. Yeah, I feel like everything you're saying right now is actually touching on one of the questions that we have right now. So Caitlin had asked, how can GEMS scale down for smaller hiring teams that aren't in hypergrowth? I think some of you touched on that, but would there be anything additional that you'd like to add on that?
I could add in terms of when teams are quieter than they typically are, and perhaps there's less hiring to do. I think one of the ways in GEM, GEM is really able to support, is thinking about the nurture capabilities. So still being able to maintain contact with some of your silver medalists or prospects that you've reached out to, and doing that in an automated way, if needed, or personalized as well. But really spending time when you are a bit quieter, still building your talent pools and engaging them and getting them excited about opportunities, because no doubt the switch will flip and you'll go back to quite significant hiring targets. And so when you've got that, you've got a pool of candidates ready to go. So I think that is one of the great ways that we've seen GEM being able to really support teams over the last 12 months or so, as a lot of our customers have gone through this shaky period. But I think that is really key. And then I think the other piece that GEM is able to do, and that it's part of the platform, is around talent marketing. So more on branded campaigns, newsletters, as a way to, again, nurture, but maybe at scale. So not just your one-on-one, but folks who have expressed an interest to your talent community, for example, that can all be activated through GEM. So I think there's a lot of things that you can do when companies do start to scale down, or their hiring is not as significant, that will still keep recruiters doing meaningful work and keeping the talent pool live and excited for when opportunities arise again. Tamara, is there anything that I missed there?
I agree with you. No, I agree with everything. I was just going to double down on, maybe this is also a really good time to embrace something like pipeline analytics and do a little house cleaning, right? Yes, exactly. So let's take this time to look at ways that we can be more efficient and effective when the next time this rec opens up, right? There's always something that we can improve. And so I love taking any kind of ebb and flows in the hiring environment, and just, really making sure that things are all, as clean as possible, so that I can move faster when the switch turns back on to super high.
I think it's also an opportunity for you to, when we're looking at pipeline, pass-through analytics, things like that, we look at the diversity of our pipeline. So if you have the time and space to really lean into diversity, look and see, are women falling out of your pipeline at a higher rate than men? Let's start diagnosing our interview process, our interview questions. We've been leveraging AI, using ChatGPT for interview questions and things like that, to make it a very inclusive process. If you aren't in hypergrowth, which I feel like who is really, take the time to filter your analytics like this. And it's been really eye-opening for us. I feel like I see so many things on LinkedIn about DEIB falling to the wayside, and this is a great chance for you to double down on it and take the time and dive in deep.
Bring it back to the forefront.
Exactly.
Amazing. Well, we're coming down to our last question here. So audience, if you have any last questions, please put them in the Q&A, finish up the poll. Last question here. So again, on the topic of adaptability and scalability, can any of you highlight instances where scalability prevented limitations during organizational expansion?
I can certainly think of a few examples that I've had firsthand, rather than necessarily from a customer perspective. But certainly there was a period a couple of years ago when I was in an organization and we were scaling up quite significantly from a recruiting team perspective, as well as obviously the hiring numbers. And that organization didn't have a CRM in place. And so there was at the time, we're hiring a lot of new recruiters who were learning a new process. We had multiple spreadsheets across a department. And it just meant that hitting those targets was just exceptionally hard. It's not that it wasn't done. It just meant that it was a whole lot of extra work that didn't need to happen because the technology wasn't there to support it. So I think that is again, a key to like bringing back the idea of the right technology and one that is unified or is part of a central source of truth, because in times of need, that is when you need to switch it on and everyone needs to go at the same time and know how to use it. And we were behind the 8 ball as soon as we started. So I think that really held us back. And it was one of my aha moments where I was like, there's got to be something better, which is when I came across Gem, another story. But I think that it's holding us back. And I think even more now and over the next couple of years, we're going to see that more and more with new technology, Gen AI. The speed in which our technology moves is going to be drastically faster, I think, than it has been. And so keeping an eye on that, I think is going to be key within our teams.
Mm-hmm. Great. Any additional thoughts, Lauren or Tamra?
I think Lee covered it well. The only other thing that kind of comes to mind with that question is around using your tools to make it clear what's important, right? So I think that in the past, I've seen a lot of work be done that was spinning our wheels or not in line with what our actual goal is. And so when you're leveraging your tools, and like we were mentioning before about the dashboards and what we're actually measuring, recruiters can really understand what is the work that really needs to get done, how are we trending toward our goals, and then again, that gives visibility to your cross-functional partners as well. Mm-hmm. So I think of it as really like doing the most efficient, effective work and heading towards success and being able to measure it.
Mm-hmm. Great. Wow, I don't see any other questions here. So let's get the results of this last poll here. So if you won a free vacation, where would you go? No surprise to me, Bora Bora Tropical Getaway was the top vote. Let's see. And we also have Luxury South African Safari with 10 votes. So thank you to everybody who contributed to these. Very fun to think about dreaming and going on vacation as we head into spring. But want to give a quick shout out to our wonderful, wonderful speakers here. So thank you, Lee. Thank you, Lauren. And thank you, Tamra, for all of your incredibly valuable insights here today. Just could not be more grateful for you. And I need to go get a Gem demo and get in it right now, because even though I'm only working one role right now, you've sold me. So I'm there. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Really appreciate you being here. Please connect with the speakers here today. We'd love to all connect with you on LinkedIn, and please connect with everyone else in the chat as well.
And thank you, Talent Collective, too, for bringing us together.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Happy V-Day.